Oh, hello everyone. You are all probably wondering where I'm wandering. In this edition of History in a Nutshell, we are going west, following in the footsteps of two of America's greatest explorers, Meriwether Lewis and William Clark. From 1804 to 1806, Lewis and Clark led an expedition known as the Corps of Discovery through the mostly unknown western territories of North America. After the United States purchased the Louisiana Territory from France in 1803, curiosity and wonder filled the minds of Americans, including President Thomas Jefferson, who was arguably the biggest advocate for exploring the West. At that time, nobody knew what to expect to find out there in the vast unknown. There was wide speculation of the existence of a massive waterway known as the Northwest Passage, which could potentially open up direct trade routes with Asia. Throughout the journey, the expedition faced bitter cold, diseases, harsh terrain, and even a few close calls with the Native American tribes they encountered. Without friendship, teamwork, and on some occasions, women intervening on their behalf, this expedition would not have been possible. Did the United States get its money's worth with the Louisiana Purchase? Join me as I lead you through the history of the Lewis and Clark expedition. Many Americans already shared the itch to explore the unknown West before the Louisiana Purchase. In the late 1700s, all lands east of the Mississippi River were accounted for, but the lands west of the Mississippi were a mystery. At the end of the French and Indian War, one of the resulting measures was the Proclamation Line of 1763. Legally, Anglo-American colonists were not allowed to settle beyond lands gained from the defeated French, out of fears of violating treaties with Native American tribes living in the region. However, many settlers did it anyway, suffering little to no consequences from the American government. The Louisiana Territory was French property in 1801, and with war brewing between France and Great Britain, First Consul Napoleon Bonaparte desperately needed money to fight the British. France's offer to sell the Louisiana Territory to the United States took Americans completely by surprise. On April 30th, 1803, for the sum of $15 million, the size of the United States doubled overnight. Around 828,000 square miles of newly acquired land. Even before negotiations with France had concluded, President Thomas Jefferson was already proposing an expedition of the Louisiana Territory to Congress.
Gentlemen of the Senate and the House of Representatives, the River Missouri and the Indians inhabiting it are not as well known as is desirable. An intelligent officer with 10 to 12 chosen men might explore the whole line even to the Western Ocean. The appropriation of $2,500 would cover the undertaking.
This trek would serve the following purposes: map out the unknown western regions, seek new scientific understandings of the territory, gathering specimens and documenting new animal and plant species, establish relations with the Native American tribes the expedition would encounter, and the most important objective, confirm the existence of the fabled Northwest Passage waterway. For over 300 years, the British, the French, and the Spanish have searched for this waterway. President Jefferson felt that whoever controlled this waterway would control the fate of the continent. To lead said expedition, President Jefferson needed someone trustworthy and reliable, and knew the perfect man for the job: his own personal secretary, Meriwether Lewis. At the age of 28 years old, Lewis was already an experienced frontiersman, amateur scientist, and had the makings of a promising career as an Army officer. To co-command this expedition, Lewis chose his close friend, William Clark. While not having as much formal education as Lewis, Clark had more field experience and was once Lewis's superior ranking officer. Clark, like Lewis, was also an experienced frontiersman and had developed negotiation skills with Native Americans. Preparations were soon underway. President Jefferson extended Lewis and Clark a line of credit to fund this expedition, and Congress would pay the bill. The journey ended up costing way more than the proposed $2,500, more in the ballpark of around $40,000 to $50,000, which was a ton of money in those days. Lewis purchased scientific instruments, medicine, navigational tools, camping supplies, gunpowder, lead, gifts for the Native American tribes, whiskey, and state-of-the-art rifles. Lewis knew the expedition would need to bring along absolutely everything they'd need for this journey, for if they ran into trouble, there would be no one coming to help them. At President Jefferson's request, Lewis traveled to Philadelphia, and for a few months he learned from the nation's top scientific minds, studying botany, celestial navigation, medicine, mineralogy, and zoology. While Lewis was in Philadelphia, Clark was busy recruiting the men needed for this journey. Clark and his recruits spent the winter of 1803 to 1804 training and preparing for the journey west at Camp DuBois. The crew had around 45 members, consisting mainly of healthy, unmarried men with hunting and survival skills. Some other members of importance included a French-Canadian interpreter, a contracted boat crew for their 55-foot-long keel boat, and Clark's enslaved African-American named York. This group is known today as the Corps of Discovery.